Hi everyone, for today's featured liner we're going to go Dutch. And that's because I feel Dutch ocean liners, particularly those servicing the Dutch East Indies, which is now Indonesia, are largely overlooked, particularly in comparison to their North Atlantic counterparts. Some Dutch ocean liners are reasonably well known, and we're fortunate that we can actually visit and stay on board one, the Rotterdam. And our ship today is the Pieter Corneliszoon Hooft. And to save further embarrassment from my pronunciation and to not offend my Dutch friends, I will henceforth refer to this ship as the P.C. Hooft. This vessel was completed in 1925, and it has two sets of vital statistics, which are as follows. When originally built in 1925, its tonnage was 14,642 gross tons, and in 1932 this would be slightly increased to 14,729 tons. In 1925, after initial completion, the ship was 540 feet long, which translates to about 164 meters. In 1932, this was extended slightly by 3 meters or 9 feet, so that the ship's final length was 549 feet. Initial speed was 15.5 knots, and crew numbered 300, with around 580 very lucky passengers enjoying some beautiful interiors. Now, I've mentioned two sets of stats. That's simply because in 1932, after the ship's entry into service for 5-6 years, changes in technology and operation meant that the ship was now just too slow. 15.5 knots was no longer acceptable, so the ship's original engines were removed. The ship's lovely, finely proportioned steamship funnel was taken off, and in went Sulzer diesels and a stocky and stumpy motorship funnel was plonked on instead. And to help with the ship's hydrodynamic abilities, the ship grew by 3 meters, 9 feet. It is also worth noting that this ship also got off to a slightly rocky and we could almost say foreboding start, because this ship was originally built in Saint-Nazaire in France. However, the ship had been almost ready to enter service, was almost complete, when a fire in the shipyard, or rather when a fire on the ship while still at the shipyard, consumed the passenger accommodation, and so the ship had to be towed over to Amsterdam, where the interiors were completely rebuilt into this interesting pre-Deco, but certainly post-Edwardian age, where you had a mix of styles. The Ile-de-France hadn't quite revolutionized interior decor just yet, so you do have this mixture of styles. But based on these images, it certainly seems that the passengers are enjoying themselves. With a new speed of 18 knots, the P.C. Hooft operated relatively uneventfully, servicing the Netherlands and the Dutch East Indies. And this look is quite typical of Dutch ships on that trade and in that era. This look would gradually mature. Successive Dutch ships would end up getting a tumble home on the sides of their hull. You'll see that in images of the Oranje of 1939. The P.C. Hooft did not have that, but this quite stubby look would reach full maturity with the Marnix Van St. Aldegonda and its more famous long-lived sister ship, the Johan van Oldenbarneveld, which would ultimately come to a fiery end in the mid-60s as the Greek Lacona. Saying those names is fine, but saying the Corneliszoon in Pieter Corneliszoon Hooft, yeah. Anyway, the P.C. Hooft operated relatively uneventfully, and it really didn't have a chance to even show off the advantages of its expensive refit, because at 12:20 a.m. on the morning of the 14th of November 1932, the ship erupted in flames while still docked in Amsterdam. This fire could not be controlled despite the best efforts of fire crews, and so the burning vessel was towed to a remote area of the harbour, and the vessel was simply allowed to burn out. And as you can see from these reconstructed images, the damage was extensive, to say the least. Had this happened in the open ocean, no doubt the ship would have rolled over and sank. The superstructure is completely buckled, the hull is warped, and obviously it was completely uneconomical to repair this ship. So once the water had been pumped out and the vessel rightened, it was towed away and scrapped. And thus ended the brief career of the P.C. Hooft. Now, if you want to learn more about Dutch ocean liners, and I highly recommend you do because they are absolutely fascinating, even just try pronouncing their names is an adventure in itself. There are several books out there. One of the easiest, most accessible ones to learn about some of the more famous Dutch ships is this one by William H. Miller, German and Dutch Passenger Ships. And this one, well, ironically, this one doesn't cover the P.C. Hooft, but it does certainly cover many of the other well-known ones, such as the JVO, Rotterdam, and everyone's favorite Art Deco masterpiece, the New Amsterdam. So hopefully the story of the P.C. Hooft has sparked an interest in Dutch ships, and I strongly recommend you go and read up on many of these fascinating vessels.